you're seniors and you are thinking about what you're going to do after high school. So I really enjoy getting to know you over the years, and hopefully it's going to be a fun ride. So welcome. I know that was a lot of information that Mr. Mack just went over. So I am going to leave a little bit of time for some questions and answers if you have some burning questions right now. But first, I just want to go through a couple of things for you. So again, I mentioned my name is Mrs. Brooks. Just a little bit about me. I live in Sandwich, but I spend way more time in Falmouth than I do Sandwich. So I consider Falmouth my home and love the community so much. And this will be my 16th year here at Falmouth High School. So obviously that says a lot about how I feel about the school, the community, and the students. If I'm sticking around that long. So I can't wait to get to know all of you. As I said, you know, we have 4 years, but I try and touch base with everybody a few times freshman year to get to know you a little bit. And I really wear a couple of hats. And you know, the role of guidance counselor, I know you all had guidance counselors throughout your schooling so far, but it starts to change a little bit at the high school level. So I'm here for a number of reasons, but all of those reasons are about you. So I'm here for your academic needs. We might be talking about what classes you're taking. Eventually, we'll start talking about what your goals are post high school and how we can help you reach those goals. I'm here for any social emotional support that you might need. If you're having a bad day, you can come and talk to me. If you're having a good day, I love when you come and talk to me. So I kind of also see myself as just that resource for you. If you have questions and you don't know where to go or who to access, that's what I'm here for. You just let me know and I'm going to point you in the right direction. So I was thinking about presenting tonight, and much like Mr. Mack, I thought, oh, this is going to be strange. I'm sure that's how we're all feeling about this school year in general, right? But, you know, I have the bad news. I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I might not have all of the answers this year because things are going to look so different at our school. So I'm going, like I said, I'm going to have a time where you can put in the chat if you have any questions. But if I don't have the answer for you, I'm going to get it for you. And if we don't reach all of the questions and answers, we're going to save that chat and send out an email with those answers for you. But the good news is that it essentially makes me a new person in school too. So we're all kind of starting together. So I also feel that way about all the rest of the students that are coming back and that have been here. So I think that's good news for you because you're not going to be the only people in the building wondering where you're going and what time things start. And it just means that we're all going to get through it together. So make sure you ask questions. We are all here. There is tons of staff in the building. And when you're confused, when you have a question, just reach out to one of us. And we'll show you where the guidance office is in the school as well, because that can be kind of a base for you, a home base, if you have any needs or questions. So a couple of things I do want to touch upon. I know some of you are going to be going by the hybrid model where you'll be in school for some of the time and you'll be at home for some of the time, and others are going to be fully remote. So the things that has in common is that the expectation is going to be the same for everybody. So I just think it's important. Every year I talk about the importance of homework, but this year it's a little different because the responsibility is going to land on you for more than just homework. So it's essential that you're going to show up to your Zoom classes or whatever it may be that your teacher is assigning. Attendance will be taken both in person and when you're at home working remotely. So it's really important that you're showing up to all of your classes that you need to. And continuing to work. I know all of us kind of had that experience for the first time last spring when it was up to us and it fell on our shoulders. And I don't want to be chasing anybody to try and figure out what's wrong. What I would love is for all of you, if you feel like you need help or you're struggling, is for you to be proactive and reach out to either myself or reach out to your teachers. We're all here for that very reason. We want to see you be successful. So make sure you're communicating with us. I know, like I said, Mr. Mack gave you a lot of information. One thing that he did touch upon were the levels of the classes. So when you see your schedule in PowerSchool or Schoology, you will see different levels. It might say CP1, it might say CP2, and it might say ESS. Those different levels are the expectations are different on the levels. So your typical four-year college would be a CP2 level class. If you struggle with a class in particular and your teacher recommended you for a CP1, that simply means that the expectation will be a little different. It might go at a little slower pace for you. And then if you see an ESS, that would be an essentials class, which would be a smaller group class. So if you have any particular questions about your own schedule and the levels, you can ask me at any point in time. After, in the middle of freshman year is when you'll get the opportunity to possibly test into a couple of honors level classes. But as of now, no freshman would have honors level on their schedule. And again, unfortunately, because things are so different this year, the schedules are complete. So there's going to be very little room for change in your schedule. But if you see something wrong, like you're signed up for French 3 and you've never taken French 1, that's something that you want to contact me about, and we can absolutely change on your schedule. Or if you think you might be placed in a wrong level, that's also something you want to contact me about. So your materials that you'll need for school, right now, the only thing that I can say for sure is your Chromebook. So you want to make sure that your Chromebook is working. If you have any issues with it whatsoever, again, you can contact me and we'll put you in touch with the right department here at school to either fix it or get you a new Chromebook. Once you meet with all of your teachers next week, they are going to let you know what you need to get for any materials for their class. But right now, just make sure that Chromebook is working for you or whatever you may be working on. Another thing that I always feel is a key element is some sort of agenda book or some way to keep yourself organized. This will be the first year that you have as many classes as you do, and it's at a level where it's challenging you more, and you might have more work than you're used to. So one of the best things you can do is to keep yourself organized and understand what is due and when it is. So the guidance department does provide agenda books for all of the freshmen, and once you're here in school, we will be handing those out to you. In the meantime, if you have something, and I know I'm talking about agenda books that we're writing things down, and we're in obviously a very technological age right now. So some of you may have a different way of organizing yourselves. And if you found that last year or the year before and that works for you, great. Just make sure you find something that works for you so that you know exactly what's coming up. At this point, I am going to open it up to any questions. You can certainly, we don't have much in the chat, but if you have a question, you can either type it in the chat or you can unmute and just ask me whatever you need to. This is always when I say, well, I must have done a really good job of explaining things if there are no questions. Will remote students be provided an agenda book also? Yes, that's a great question. Remote students, when they pick up their other items, will be given an agenda book. Another question is, what if my classes in Schoology don't match my PowerSchool schedule? That is a question that you want to bring up with me. So if something is not jiving and you say, well, where did this class come from? It could be just that there was a change in schedule and something did not get updated on Schoology or PowerSchool. So you definitely just want to check in with me about that. What time do we start? What a great question. So we're also going to be having staggered arrivals, just so everybody's not coming into the building at the very same time, so we can space everybody out. So the staggered arrival will be between 7:22 and 7:26. As Mr. Mack mentioned, students aren't allowed in the building before 7:15. So if you're getting dropped off by a parent, you just want to make sure that you are coming just around 7:20, 7:22. And does the honors course start in the second semester or later in the first semester? That's a great question. I don't think there will be any change this year. We usually, after first quarter, get a list together of students that are interested and students that are showing the habits of mind that an honors level student would. At that point in time, you'd be invited to take an honors test. And if you pass that test, then we would then change your schedule to honors level. It wouldn't change your schedule so that classes would be at different times. It would simply change the level designation on your schedule and the expectations, obviously. So if that's something that interests you in either English or history, that's something you can bring up to your teacher right away and say, you know, I am interested in that honors level Mrs. Brooks was telling me about, and your teacher can instruct you on what he or she may need to see in order to make that happen. Okay, will remote students be watching a live stream from the classroom? Ryan, that is a great question. We are still trying to figure things out at the high school. So I think it might be a little different for each class. What's going to be really interesting is next week when you log into Schoology, you're going to see how different teachers are handling it. At this point, yes, you should be live streaming into the classroom. But again, the teachers are working so hard at making that interesting for you and helpful for you. So I think it's probably going to be a combination of not simply just watching them up at the board and, you know, watching that for an hour of your time, but they're working really hard at figuring out how they can teach a lesson and then maybe bring everybody together for a conversation, and then do some breakout work as well. So it's going to be a mixed bag, and I think you'll find out from teacher to teacher how that's going to vary the first week. When we're not in school, do we still go on at 7:22 between 7:26? So when the start time, is that the question? Yes, so when you're not in school, on your days that you're remotely working, you want to log on at that point in time, because all of your teachers will be taking attendance for your remote days as well. So you want to make sure you're there on time to whatever period you have there. These are great questions, guys. Keep them rolling in if you have them. I'll just wait a little longer to see if anybody has any questions. What I will do in the chat is leave my email address. If anybody logs off and then says, oh, geez, I didn't ask her this, and why didn't I think of it during that time? Just shoot me an email tonight, and we'll get it answered for you. How will we know where to sit in lunch? That's a great question. I know the first day of school, you're going to find out which lunch you have. Mr. Mack, remember Mr. Mack mentioned there are 2 lunch waves. So it's either before your C block, which is your 3rd class of the day, or after your C block. And that's when you'll also find out where you sit. I believe your names will be on the desks, and there's going to be plenty of people to point you in the right direction as well. Where will we get our bus passes? That is, all right, I told you I wasn't going to have all the answers. So that is a great question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that down, and then we'll send, oh, Miss Riley knows.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I was on the webinar earlier. I'm a freshman parent right now, but I'm also still the special education building administrator. So there was bus pass pickup today, and an email would have gone out from Mrs. Gans to all parents. If you didn't get that email, you would contact, if you didn't get that email and you weren't able to pick up the bus passes, there is contact information in the email. But fortunately, I can pull up the email and tell you what to do if you did not, or if you were not able to get it. So hopefully as many people as possible were able to come in. If you couldn't make it, you would contact Greg Kennedy. He is the, and I'm just going to put his email address in the chat for parents who need to help get that bus pass. And as always, you can contact us at school, but I think that's a really fair question, and I'll let Mrs. Gans know, and maybe we'll send out some clarification for anyone who didn't happen to get their bus pass today.
Isaac, you also asked a great question. I know it can be so confusing with this new schedule. The question was, when we sign on Tuesday morning, do we start with period 4? So the schedule, and I'll even show you what I personally did. I know Mr. Mack is sending out the presentation tonight. So what I have done is actually highlighted for myself, and I'll even show it to you here, highlighted for myself what days are which classes. And honestly, if I were a student, I'd probably do the same thing. But your best bet is to log on to PowerSchool. You remember that slide that Mr. Mack was showing you? Log on to PowerSchool and hit My Schedule. It's going to show you, it's even going to say Monday at this time, this is the class that you're logging on to. And what you're going to do is you're going to log on to Schoology, and it will have all your classes, and you'll just hit on that class. So on Monday morning, our first day of school on the 21st, it will be first period that you're logging into first, whatever that is on your schedule. But you can see again on PowerSchool, you want to hit on My Schedule, and it will show you the best way to read your schedule. Print that out. I'd put it on, whatever your agenda book or your main binder that you're going to use in your refrigerator and use that version. If you have any questions personally, you can email me. Like I said, I'm going to put my email up and say, Mrs. Brooks, I didn't understand what you were saying. Can you just tell me what class I need to go to? And I will let you know. I'm going to put my email address up. Thank you, Ms. Riley, for putting Mr. Kennedy's up. If you did not get your bus pass, you want to contact Mr. Kennedy. And if you have any particular questions about your schedule or what your day is going to look like, or any general questions, you can send me an email as well. Okay. Any other questions? Well, I've really enjoyed seeing some of your faces, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in person. So let me know how we can help you, and ask the questions. There are no questions that are unwanted here. We all have them right now. So reach out to us, and we're going to see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.